its ups and downs. Turn your pretty face into an ugly frown. Seems that when I fix one thing.
Hello, welcome to The Awakening. I'm your host, Angela Brown. Today's topic for discussion is Whatever Happened to Benny. I've got the author here. His name is Alan Hall, and he contacted me, and of course I said, yes, come on the show, because you know, everybody out there could become a Benny. Welcome to The Awakening. Feel how cold my hands are.
Yes,
You're warm as can be.
Thank you. Well, first let me thank you for inviting me on your show.
You're welcome.
And
You're
I feel so
welcome.
honored to be on your show.
And I feel honored to have you here.
Well, thank you very much.
I really do. You've got a beautiful smile. You're a very handsome gentleman.
Well, thank you.
I know your wife's in the other room, but you're a very good-looking gentleman. Okay. Tell me a little bit about yourself. Tell me about your background.
Okay. I was in the military. I went in the Army back in 1965.
Did you go to Vietnam?
Yes, I spent time in Vietnam in the 60s.
Okay.
And I came home from Vietnam, as a matter of fact, in 1968.
Oh.
And after returning home, I went to college, Federal City College, for a couple of years, and then.
Why'd you want to go to college after all that stuff you've just been through?
You know, I had the opportunity to use my GI Bill, and I didn't want to waste that opportunity.
Okay.
And I didn't finish at Federal City College. Matter of fact, I think I went about a year and a half or two, and I decided to, at some point, go in the Metropolitan Police Department. And I joined the Metropolitan Police Department in 1973.
Really?
And I stayed on the job from 73 until 2000.
Okay.
And during the time I was on the police department, I spent some years as a patrol officer.
The streets?
The streets, yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Patrolling the streets, and also as a investigator, and I retired as a detective.
Cool.
And I worked practically all my time I spent at the 7th District, which is over in Anacostia, Southeast Washington. Yes, ma'am.
So whatever got you going in the, going down that street to want to write a book?
You know, when I retired from the police department in 2000, and a couple of years after retiring, I decided to go back to school, and I started at PG Community College.
That's a good college.
I enjoyed my time there. I learned a great deal from the professors there, and I graduated with my associate degree. And I decided to continue on, so I went to Bowie State University.
That's a good school, too.
Very good school. I went there for several years, and I got my bachelor's degree.
Cool.
And I returned and did a couple of years working on my master's, but I have not completed the program yet.
Okay. I've read some of this book. You know, like I told you, I'm not a type of person who likes to sit still and read because I'm very hyper. I've got to be doing something all the time. But when I got the book, I started reading it. And like I told you, I would go walking through the house, putting on makeup, reading this thing. I would be in the kitchen cooking, and I was reading your book. I just couldn't put it down, so I was so glad when it was finished. But at the very end, I still don't know what happened to Benny.
Okay.
So that's why I wanted you to explain that you really wrote this book for anybody, because anybody can be Benny.
Exactly. And you know, when I started writing the book, I had several things on my mind. First, I thought about parents, mothers and fathers, who suffer every day because of what their children are doing.
How about grandmas? They do it too?
Grandmas too, but I wanted to put a lot of emphasis on what a parent goes through when a child decides to do the wrong or make bad choices in life. And Benny, I chose the title Benny. Benny is my main character in the book, but it's a reason.
What made you come up with Benny?
Benny, I chose Benny because I know when I was growing up during the 50s and 60s, and maybe even during the 70s, I know I used to hear people talk about Bennies, but they were referring to illicit drugs. They were talking about pills, like amphetamines.
Benny's pills. Oh.
Right. And they used to, probably that was a code name to keep the police from knowing what they were talking about. So they used to, talk about Bennies, which was a pill they probably used to.
I'm sure they did.
Speed pills maybe. But I decided I wanted my main character, to have the name Benny. which connote drug usage. So that's why I chose the name Benny. But throughout the book, I chose characters with some people may think the names are kind of comical, but I chose those names for a reason. Like one of my characters' name is Muttonhead.
Yes.
But the definition of a muttonhead is someone that's stupid.
Yeah.
And I think anyone that get involved in drugs
are stupid.
Because it ultimately going to bring you down and everybody around you going down as well. And I had one character named Muzzy, and I chose that for a purpose too, because that's the one who's confused.
Yes, yes.
And you just go out there and do what other people tell them to do. Or what other people tell them to do. And also I have a person named Mousy in my book, and he's timid and walking around with dirty clothes on all the time.
Right, never took a bath.
No, probably never took a bath. So I wanted, all my characters to show my readers what could happen to them if they make bad choices in life. And so as you read the book, you'll find out that Benny, when you first start reading the book, Benny actually comes from a good family.
Yes,
his family
a very good family.
Very good family.
Yes.
He went to private schools. His parents took him to church on Sundays.
Yes.
They probably brought him everything he wanted.
Yes.
I mean, they were the loving parents.
Right.
But as he got older, like maybe in his teens, he started doing little things, getting in trouble with the police. And by the time he was 17 or 18, or maybe about 19, I believe, he got in trouble by burglarizing someone's house.
Right.
And he went to jail for 5 years for committing that crime. And during those years, when he got out, he promised his parents that he's going to do the right thing.
Yes.
Go back to school, get his degree.
He had wonderful parents.
Wonderful parents.
I mean, you couldn't have painted him any better.
No, his parents were just loving parents. But he created a lot of stress.
Oh, yes.
And pain on his parents because his mother actually has a stroke.
Yes.
And she was in a hospital for a period, but she recovered from the stroke.
Yeah, and they were living well until he got back out on the streets.
Oh, when he got back on the street, Benny decided to, I think his plan was to do the right things in life. But what happened was some of the old buddies started hanging around again, the buddies that were, troublemakers.
Yeah.
And he started hanging out with the same old group, and his life really took a downward turn at that point.
But his mom and dad were so proud that he was coming home.
Oh, his mother, as a matter of fact, before he came home, his mother announced to her church members that he was coming home on a certain date.
And we're going to go to Mass on the first Sunday we're back.
First Sunday he was going to attend church, and everybody at church was excited and, expecting his return to church. But he didn't show up. He disappointed his parents the first day he was out of prison, actually the second day, because he didn't return home that night.
That's right. But it's, how did you conjure this up in your head?
You're right, but yes, it's all something that I made up. It's fiction. But, as I started writing the story, I used to hear writers say, when you write, the words just come.
They do when you get started.
When you get started, the characters just pick up their own, they become they take their own life.
They do.
And they have their own words. They get a voice of their own. And that's what happened. When I started writing, it seemed like each character, I didn't have to dwell on what to put, what the character was supposed to say. It seemed like the words were just there.
They would just flow like water running. It's what happens to you when you start to write.
Right, that's a good description. Exactly what happened.
Yeah, it's like a little fountain that goes on and on and on.
Right.
But when he did finally come home, it was too late, wasn't it?
Well, it was, because I think what had happened was, in jail, Benny probably wasn't rehabilitated. He probably. Oh,
I know that for sure.
Right, in prison, he probably.
I worked there.
Right, probably was still hanging out with a bad group of people.
You can get drugs in prison.
I wouldn't doubt that. You probably can.
Well, I hear you can get anything in there that you want.
And I probably believe that too.
There's a price to pay though too.
Exactly. Just like in society, you do anything and you do everything, and if you're doing the wrong things, there's a price to pay.
Of course there is.
Right.
I went into the harder prisons, I'm not going to mention any names, to work with the women. And these ladies say, well, I don't really care. I'm good. I've got something to make me feel better later. Right. And I just, if you don't get the junk out of your trunk,